Hey, Stan the Annuity Man here, America's annuity agent. Yes, licensed in all 50 states. I want to cover the country and help people understand annuities before they buy them. And certainly we can help you with that at stantheannuityman.com if we get to that point. But let's talk about what you're interested in, which is what percentage of your portfolio should be in annuities? Really good question, no perfect answers. And if anyone's giving you a percentage, they have no clue what they're talking about. Now, that's the short answer. What I would like for you to do is hang in there with me because I'm going to kind of dig into how this all got started, how people start talking about percentages of your portfolio. And I'm also going to talk about what the annuity companies actually think about that and the laws in place to protect you, the customer, the client. So hang in there. There's going to be a really neat little music intro here. So hit the music now. All right, so the question is, what's the percentage of annuities you need in a portfolio? Now, it could be zero, right? You might not need an annuity, and you say, well, wait a minute, Stan, you sell annuities, you're the guy out here, you're America's annuity agent. That's all true. But I'm also conscious of the fact that annuities are contracts, they're transfer risk products, and there's a lot of you out there that don't even need to transfer risk. So how do I determine that with my clients? Two very simple questions. The first one is, what do you want the money to contractually do? Keyword is contractual. And then when do you want those contractual guarantees to start? So answer those questions, write those down or put them in the back of your head. The other thing that I tell people is there's an acronym called PIL. P stands for principal protection, I stands for income for life, L stands for legacy, and the other L stands for long-term care. If you don't need to solve for one or more of those problems, principal protection, income for life, legacy, long-term care, then you don't need an annuity. So if you don't need to transfer risk, then you don't need an annuity. So the answer is then zero. But let's just say that you do need to do some of those. You need a lifetime income stream, etc. Let's go to the whiteboard and let's look at how that would work for you. Okay, Stan the Annuity Man, before the mythical Stan the Annuity Man existed and Nike was making shirts for me with Stan Nose instead of Bo Nose. Remember that, Bo Nose? Remember that? The guy that played football and he had the ad campaign for Nike? It's not as good as the Stan Nose. But anyway, here's how this all started. Before the Stan the Annuity Man juggernaut was out there, I was in the securities industry. I work for all the big firms, all the ones you've heard of, and I'm not going to say their names because they're big enough. They don't need the ads, and they're not paying me to tell them their name. But they would say stuff like, if you're 60 years old, you need 60% in equities and 40% in bonds. I mean, it was the old they called it the napkin presentation, where you just kind of drew it out on a napkin. I'm not kidding. Or they'd flip it. They'd say, you need 40% in equities and 60% in bonds. It literally, I know you're saying, wait a minute, that sounds so simplistic. It really was that simplistic. And there's a lot of old school guys out there in the securities industry, planners, fee planners, etc., that still kind of use that basic premise on how to allocate stocks and bonds, etc. So let's look at how the annuity companies look at the pie chart and what they approve of. So what do the annuity companies think about the old pie chart and the percentage of your portfolio? There's rules in place to protect you, the client, and to make sure that the agent or the advisor out there is not just putting all of grandma's money into an annuity, right? That doesn't need to happen, and there's guardrails in place. So here's the annuity version. Here's the annuity industry. Here's your investable assets. That's not counting your house. That's like your 401k, your stocks, your bonds, all of that stuff, your IRA. They're saying, the annuity industry, they feel comfortable with around a maximum of 50% of your investable assets in annuities. Seriously, that's what they said. I'll give you a great story on that. It just happened to me last week. Lady calls me, she'd literally watched one of these YouTube videos, calls me and says, I think I need an immediate annuity for a lifetime income stream. And I said, fine, let's run the quote. Give me a little bit of background about what you have, what's your investable assets. She was not working. She rented an apartment, which is fine. She had $150,000 to her name, period. She had no debt. And she wanted to put all $150,000 into an immediate annuity. Now, on surface, that makes sense because she needed income, she needed a lifetime income stream, she had no beneficiaries. Perfect. But I told her, I said, unfortunately, the annuity industry is not going to allow that. They're not going to allow you to put all your money in. So in essence, of her 150, we could only run a quote for $75,000. She was not happy. She's like, well, then I'll just buy it from someone else. I'm like, that's fine, but the only way that application is going to go through is if someone fictitiously fills in your application to reflect the 150 being half of what your investable assets. They do this for a reason. Over a decade ago, there's lots of lawsuits from consumers that they put all their money into annuities and they sued the carriers for allowing them to do that. There wasn't anything wrong with the annuities. They were in fixed annuities, but there was lots of lawsuits. And then the actual industry said, okay, enough of that. We're going to put some guardrails in place to make sure that people have enough liquidity, enough cash on hand in case things happen. So that's a great example of why the annuity companies put that in place. And if you went to the annuity company and you said, okay, and your agent didn't know that rule or advisor, and they put 75% of your investable assets into annuities, and that application got to the carrier, regardless of who the carrier is, they're going to spit that back out. They're not going to approve it. And I think that's a good thing the annuity industry is doing. They are trying to protect the client out there. I know the annuity industry gets a bad rap. There's always bad actors in any type of sales business. There certainly is in the annuity business. But the annuity industry itself and the carriers have put some things in place from an application standpoint, suitability and appropriateness to protect you, the client. So what percentage of your portfolio needs to be in annuities? I don't know that. That's the reason you kind of need to contact us at stantheannuityman.com. That's my email address, or you can go to stantheannuityman.com website and connect with us there. And we can have a conversation and a discussion on what fits and what type of transfer risk annuities fit your specific situation. Okay? So I would encourage you to do that. I would also want you to do, there's a video I did pointing to it magically. What's the purpose of an annuity? Which kind of coincides with what we're talking about, which is you really need to make sure that an annuity transfer risk contract fits for your specific situation. That video will help. Obviously, this one will help. You can also go to my site to get free books. I've written a bunch of them on annuities, annuity owners manuals that we'll send to you for free. Do me a favor before you click away and start surfing the internet, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get these videos every single day, Monday through Friday, that are informative and educational, and hopefully will make you understand annuities a lot better and make an informed decision on your terms and your time frame. See you next time.